Hello, everybody, and welcome. Said the wise one here, and today we're going to do a reaction video. The gentleman's name is Myron Golden, and Myron is giving a little seminar about why your subconscious mind, let me try that again, why your subconscious programming is sabotaging all of your efforts to get rich. And what that mainly means is you are standing in the way of your own success. Okay? And Mr. Golden is going to explain all of those things. I'll give my reactions in between. So without further ado, here's Myron Golden.
If someone were to ask you, what is the primary determining factor to whether you are rich or poor, what would your answer be? Would it be the amount of education I have? Surely. It's got to be the amount of education. Would it be, how hard I work? Surely I've got to work hard if I'm going to get richer. Would it be, well, you got to come from the right family? Would it be, well, somebody's got to give me an opportunity? Like, if someone were to ask you, what's the primary determining factor of whether you become wealthy or not? When I say you, I'm talking about you. Everybody tap yourself on the chest, say me. Okay, I'm talking about you. What would your answer be? Because I'm going to tell you what my answer is. Now, obviously, God. Okay, great. We've got that established. But then you got to do your part. God's already done his part. How do I know he's already done his part? Because it says, the Lord gives you the power to get wealth. So he already did his part. Now it's your turn. He's like, okay, here's move number one. You'll move. Okay.
Now, let me throw a little something in there. The problem with many people is they think that when they say a prayer, and after they finish that prayer, that they're going to magically receive that what they're wishing for. And I don't think that's the case. What I think is God will bless you, but you have to do your part also. That's the part I feel that most people seem to forget.
I'm going to say the primary determining factor above all other factors is your programming. Your programming. Now, what does that mean? So before I even get over here and start drawing on my digital blackboard, I'm going to make an assertion. A couple of assertions. Number one, all of our significant results are produced on a subconscious level, which is why trying doesn't matter. When you start experiencing success in any area of your life, it's not because you're trying harder.
Does anybody understand what he means by that? I'll take it that some of you do. So for the ones that don't, here's a quick little rundown. We use about 10% of our brain each and every day, actively use. The other 90% runs on autopilot, and it's full of thoughts, philosophies, and things that were taught to you from the time you were a baby up to now. And all of those things are stored in that subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind runs an automatic program which we have no control over. So that's basically what he's saying.
It's because you've reprogrammed something that used to not work with a new program that does work. All of our results, all of them are. I'm going to give you all such a beautiful illustration. It's going to be. All of your results are produced on a subconscious level. So I did some analysis of. I didn't do it, but somebody on our team did. Some analysis of our business through the first 5 months of the year. Revenue's a little down. I've been playing a lot this year. Keeping it real, taking full responsibility. Like, we were only at $6.5 million in revenue through May. And I know that sounds, yeah, I know. If you feel really bad for me, I get it. That's not my point. My point is, playing way more than is convenient for building an 8-figure business and working part-time and stressing about nothing financially, we still produced, in the first 5 months of the year, $6.5 million in revenue. Now, if a person makes $100,000 a year, in 10 years they'll make $1 million. Which means, right, in $100,000 a year, in 10 years they'll make $1 million. Which means, if they're going to do $6 million, it's going to take 60 years at $100,000 a year. And the difference between those two people is not that one was working harder. Because I promise you, if you're making $100,000 a year, you're working harder than me. I promise you're working harder than me. And I'm not bragging. I'm attempting to show you something that all wealthy people know. And programming has way more to do with it than how much effort you're putting in.
There it is. Programming has more to do with everything than the effort that you're putting in. Try to grasp that, because that's exactly what's happening.
Now, I'm going to give you an illustration. Oh, I only gave you one assertion. All of your results, all of the major results in your life, health results, money results, relationship results, they are all produced on the subconscious level, the programming level. They're produced based on the programming of your subconscious mind. I like to call your subconscious mind your automatic mind. I like to call your conscious mind your manual mind. Your manual mind will not override your subconscious mind and produce results that your subconscious mind is not programmed for. It can't. Not long term. Why? Here's the second assertion. I will never behave consistently in a way that is inconsistent with my programming. That's why when people attempt to produce a result they've never produced, they always reset, almost always reset and go back to the way they used to do things, because they didn't reprogram their subconscious. You know, we have a sympathetic nervous system, and then we have a parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is the part of our nervous system that operates in the background. It's the part that keeps our heart beating. It's the part that keeps, it just does. Well, guess what? The mind is the same way. We have the conscious mind, or the manual mind, and the subconscious mind, or the automatic mind. Whether or not you produce wealth in your life, or whether you produce struggle, those results in different people are both automatic results. They're automatic outcomes. Consciously working against them is almost always a waste of time.
Now, he just said wealth and struggle is in us all. So it depends on how much wealth programming you have in your subconscious versus how much struggle programming you have in your subconscious. This is the reason you can send two people into a situation and they will get two totally different results and reactions, if you will.
Wow. Almost always a waste of time. Then, Myron, are you saying it's hopeless? No, it's not hopeless. You just have to do something different than consciously working against them. There is something that your conscious mind can do to change it. And I'm going to show you what that is. But before I do, I'm going to give you an illustration. I forget which one of these it is. I think it's that one. I was right. Okay. So, see, you don't even have to remember how to use your own stuff. And you can still succeed. It's amazing. Okay. So let's say you've got a computer with a little keyboard, little monitor, and you got another computer over here with a little monitor, little keyboard. Okay? So you got these two computers. Let's say this is a Mac and this is a PC. Now, one of the primary differences between a Mac and a PC is the OS. What does OS stand for? Operating system. Now, what is the operating system on a computer? What is its job? A job of an operating system is to tell the computer, my operating system don't talk to me. It operates in the background. And what it does is it tells the computer what software it can run and what software it can't run. And so if I take PC software and I attempt to run it on the Mac, all I'm going to get is an error message. If I take Mac software and I attempt to run it on a PC, all I'm going to get is an error message. And see, what you don't realize is you've already been programmed. Okay, let's do it like this. Okay? What if your mind were a supercomputer? And it is. What if all of the results in your life, I've never drawn one of these before, pray for me, were put some gears in here, I don't know how they work, were a 3D printer. And then all of a sudden, you're 3D printing every result in your life. So what if every result in your life, your wardrobe, your car, your house, your relationships, your income, what if all of the results of your life were produced and printed out, 3D printed, based on the software you're running in your mind? So, first thing we've got to understand is this. The reason personal development does not work for people it does not work for, whether it be a personal development book, personal development seminar, personal development training, personal development live event, personal development coach, is because you have in your mind already running a failure operating system, and somebody gave you some success software, and all it can produce for you is an error message.
Is that clear? It's just like he said. A PC can't run Mac operating system, and a Mac can't run PC operating system. So if you try those two things, it's a guaranteed failure. The same thing goes for your subconscious mind. If you've got failure programmed in your subconscious mind, then all the positive affirmations, all the positive thinking, all the positive gestures won't do you any good. You have to be running on the correct operating system.
And so what happens is you read whatever success book they tell you to read. And you're like, that was really great. I know I'm going to be successful now, except every fiber of your being, see, okay, is fighting against it unconsciously. And your subconscious programming will not allow you to run that programming. So you keep 3D printing the same old junk you've been 3D printed yesterday and last month and last year and the last decade. You keep repeating yesterday because you haven't reprogrammed your mind, your subconscious mind. So, okay, see, here's the problem. When we say mind, we think brain. But mind, your mind is not just in your brain. Your mind is in every cell in your body. Okay, wait. So, in physical therapy, and Doc, you're a medical doctor, so you can confirm or deny what I'm about to say, whether or not it's true. In physical therapy, or in physiology, in human physiology, there is a concept known as proprioception. Proprioception is your body's ability to move in space in a particular way. So, do you ever notice, for those of you who are basketball players, where are my basketball players at? Okay, so we got a bunch of basketball players. Do you ever notice sometimes you're playing basketball and you can't miss? And sometimes the bucket seems like it's as big as a thimble and you can't make one. Do you ever, for my golfers, where are my golfers in the room? Okay, a couple. So, did you ever notice that sometimes when you're playing golf, it feels so effortless? It's like you just, and the ball just explodes off the face, and you're like, that was amazing, right? And then other times you go play, and it's like, have I ever touched a golf club before in my life? And so, because I bought this piece of biohacking equipment, it was a piece of medical equipment. In fact, when I got trained on, I went to Texas. I was there for 5 days with all these medical doctors and physical therapists and chiropractors. We're all getting trained on this machine. And the only reason I was able to be there is because I bought one of these like $18,000 machines. So they said, you can come to the training. I'm like, okay. And so I asked the guy who was doing the training, like, what do I need to do to be able to hit the ball 300 yards? He said, Myron, what do you think your brain cares more about? He said, if your proprioception is not free, it doesn't matter how far you want to hit the ball consciously. Do you think your body cares more about hitting a 300-yard drive or keeping you from hurting your back? Right, Marcus? And so your body, I want you to think about this. Your body, your proprioception, your subconscious mind will keep you from performing a physical activity that is hazardous to your physical well-being. Doc, am I telling the truth? Marcus, am I telling the truth? It won't let your body do the move that your brain knows you know how to do because you've done it before. Well, guess what? The same thing is true when it comes to wealth building. So you got stuff inside of you. Yeah, grandmama told me that, man, you just can't trust people. And so you go through life and then you want to do a joint venture. But grandmama said you can't trust people. And so in order for you to go do a joint venture with somebody, even if you vetted them, you've already proven that they're worth doing a joint venture with, you pass on the opportunity because your subconscious programming from grandmama, who's never run a business, is sabotaging your financial proprioception.
That's it right there. Like I said before, it's the education from your community, your parents, and everybody who had a hand in raising you. It's what they put into your head. And you have to determine whether it was positive or negative, because it can make a difference in you being successful at something or you failing at something.
Somebody just had a breakthrough. And so what happens is we've got all this junk running in our mind. Here's what's really interesting. Okay, before I even get into the outline, this is all introductory. Wrap your mind around this. Think about your birthday. Not just the day, but the year you were born. When you were born, you didn't know anything. You didn't have any beliefs. When you were born, you had no beliefs. In fact, probably for at least a year and a half, you basically had no beliefs. And now that you're an adult, this is so laughable. Now that you're an adult, you really think this. You think you believe things because they're true. That's hilarious. You think you believe things because they're true? No. Let me help you understand how it really works. You think things are true because you believe them. You know what that's called? Cognitive bias. You think it's true, so you believe it. And then you look for confirmation of those biases, which is why it's called confirmation bias. So you are unconsciously looking for things that prove that the programming you already have is correct, so you can keep on doing what you've been doing and then hopefully get better results. Good luck with that. Okay.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. How about you? Give a comment and let me know what you think about this matter.
So what do we have to do if we're going to fix this whole glitching error message problem every time that we go to a seminar or we read a personal development? Like I used to wonder, like how can two people who are part of the same, back in the day for me, same network marketing company, start on the same day, and a year later they both have totally different results? I remember back in 1995, I don't remember what month it was, I think it was May, maybe it was September, but it was 1995 for sure. I got started in a new network marketing company, and there was a couple who started the same day I did. George and Judy, I won't mention their last name. George and Judy, they got started the same day I got started. A year later, they were making $10,000 a month. I was barely eking out $1,000 a month. I was just as good at doing presentations as they were. Some would argue that I was even better. So how comes they were doing 10 times better than me a year later? Because when they got started, they didn't let their current programming sabotage their future success, and I did.
There it is. Two different results. And why? Because they didn't let their built-in negativity sabotage what they were doing, but he, Myron, did. So as a result, they made 4 or 5 times more money than he was making. Think about that.
Because the company had this reprogramming mechanism that they called leadership school. And I lived in Pennsylvania, and it was in somewhere in Virginia. Tyson's Corner. It was in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, which is an hour and a half away from where I lived. My upline came to me and he said, "Hey, are you going to leadership school?" I said, "Nah, I don't need all that motivation stuff. I'm already motivated." And he said, "Okay." You know why? He didn't understand what I'm teaching either. But George and Judy's upline, he said, "Leadership school's coming up in February. You're going to buy 10 tickets, and tickets were like $175. You're going to buy 10 tickets from me, and you're going to keep 2 of the tickets for yourselves. You're going to sell the other 8 tickets to your team. And when you run out of these tickets, if it's still before February, come back and get 10 more." Because their upline bought 100 tickets because he realized that he could accomplish a whole year's work in one weekend by getting people to the reprogramming event. That's not what they called it, but I'm telling you in hindsight, that's what it was. Because at that event, all the people who were expecting their upline to build their business for them, some of those people would have taken ownership for their own success and bought into things that they couldn't buy into. Now, I'm not promoting network marketing. I know some people hate it, some people love it. I loved it in my life for the time that it worked for me, and that's great, but I don't do it anymore. But neither here nor there. What is neither here nor there, George and Judy were doing 10 times better than me in 1 year because they got to the reprogramming event, and I was already motivated. And so my programming told me I didn't need it. And it sabotaged my success. So here's what you got to do. Is step one, since programming is the primary objective, it's the master key. It's the primary determining factor. Here's what you got to do. Realize that your programming is the seed to everything else in your life that you produce. Your programming, your current programming is the seed. It's your beliefs about how life works, about how your life works, about how business works, about how everything you do works. And the seed turns into a root system, and then a shoot system, and then a fruit system. And the fruit and the shoot is always going to match the root, and the root's always going to match the seed. And so, see, some of us have some rooting up to do. Are y'all tracking? We gotta understand that a lot of the programming that we've received in our lives is weed programming. If the people we got the belief from didn't have the result that we're currently seeking, we need to go find somebody else. We need to realize, first of all, programming is like the most important thing any of us can do to change our current experience of life is to change our programming. Why? Because most of our results that we produce in our lives happen on the unconscious, subconscious level. Okay, that's number one. Number two, that's point number one. Realize the programming is the seed. Okay. Second thing you got to do, recognize your programming and its source. So, and here's what's really amazing and why most people never change their programming. Because a lot of their failure, poverty programming that they have that's installed in the deep recesses of their lives, they got it from people they love, and they feel like if I abandon the programming that I got from mom, from dad, from grandmama, from my favorite teacher, from the pastor, from this person, from that person, they're afraid if I abandon their programming, I'm abandoning them.
He just told the story to us all. This is why we all hold on to things that do not serve us, because of that very fact.
And I know this to be a fact because I know, I can almost remember like it was yesterday when I had to abandon some of the beliefs that my parents installed in me. And my parents loved me. And they gave me a lot of great programming, but they also gave me a lot of programming that wasn't helpful for the things I wanted to do and the places I wanted to go. And so I had to do some deep programming. But before I could do some deep programming, I had to recognize where it's coming from and the fact that I no longer believe these things. I want to be healthy. I'm 65 years of age. I don't eat pork. I don't eat shrimp. I don't eat lobster. I don't eat crabs. Why? Because they're all full of parasites. There's a whole lot of research coming out. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on television. There's a whole lot of research that's come out that says that cancer is largely the result of parasite infestation. And then the parasites love sugar, and they love acid, and they love a low oxygen environment. You got all of those factors working for you? Maybe it's not a good thing. Hashtag just saying. And so like, I grew up eating. I literally grew up in a family where my dad said, man, where I grew up, we ate everything from the hog except the oink. Right? And probably if they could have ate the oink, they would have ate the oink. Right? Like the thought. And I'm giving you an example. I'm not trying to talk anybody out of eating pork. Eat whatever you want to eat. But you cannot cook pork at a high enough temperature to kill all the parasites and still have it be edible. It's not possible. I don't care if it's bacon, I don't care if it's pork chops, I don't care what it is. You cannot cook pork at a high enough temperature to kill all the parasites and still have it be edible. It's not possible.
Now that's scary. All you pork eaters, beware. No matter how high of a temperature you cook pork at, you never kill all of the parasites. Remember that when you're biting into that pork chop or eating that bacon that you love so well.
Anyway, and I'm not trying to talk anybody out of it. Do whatever you want to do. But the thought of it grosses me out like eating a plate of flies would gross me out. Why? Now, what did I do? I recognized the programming that I had. I recognized where it came from. Like, I invited people over to my house for my family, and some of them still eat that stuff. Hey, you don't need to bring anything. One way I can make sure that all the food that we eat at my cookouts is clean, I just provide all of it. You can bring anything you want, but don't bring pork and don't bring shellfish. I don't want it on my plates. I don't want it on my grill. I don't want it in my pots. I don't want it in my pan. I don't want it touching anything of mine. Okay. Now, you say, that's radical. Right. Radical is what produces results in your life unconsciously.
Radical is what produces results in your life unconsciously. You have to be radical. This is what most people don't understand.
Yes, I'm radical. I'm radical about my health. Why? Because the older I get, the stronger I want to get, not weaker. So I'm not going to eat things that make me weaker. Okay, you are tracking. Okay, so whether it's that, whether it's working out, cold plunging, whatever. Like, first time I ever saw my son do a cold plunge, I thought, this boy has absolutely lost his mind. It's winter. The pool had to be 40-something degrees. He goes outside and jumps in the pool. Why? What are you doing? Oh yeah, there's this guy, Wim Hof, teaches breathing, blah, blah, blah. Teaches breathing? Man, I don't need nobody to teach me how to breathe. I've been breathing my whole life. Still need somebody to teach me how to breathe. And so I thought it was crazy. He started doing it. And then he said, well, you need to do this. There's no universe in any galaxy that's ever existed, and no galaxy in any universe that's ever existed, in which I'm going to intentionally submerge my body in crazy cold water. No, that's crazy. That's baby, ray, ray, and nay, cray, cray, baby. Okay, so then he sent me some Wim Hof videos, started watching them. And there's this lady who was talking about how she had multiple sclerosis, she had all these different issues from lack of balance and all kinds of stuff. And then all of a sudden, she started cold plunging. And the symptoms reversed. What? I'm like, okay, but how do you do this? And so here's what he said. I know it's hard for you to cold plunge, and I watched this YouTube video where he said, just do it with your hand. Just do it with your hand. And it's going to seem like you can't do it, but he said after a minute and a half, the pain will go away if you breathe this way. And so I said, okay, this is crazy, but maybe it'll produce something. I saw that a bunch of people were having results. He climbed Mount Everest barefoot with just shorts on, no shirt, no anything. Climbed Mount Everest barefoot. And I'm like, he knows something I don't know. He submerged himself in ice water up to his neck in a scientific experiment, up to his neck. Big old chunks of ice in the ice water up to his neck, and they had electrodes connected to his body, and they measured his core temperature. His core temperature never went down more than 2 degrees in temperature. He was submerged in this ice water for 45 minutes. So, you can act, okay, I'm telling you this for a reason. So what happened was, I said, okay, I'm going to do my hand. And I know it's going to be painful. And it's so painful. The first time I was like 5 seconds. No, this ain't happening. Okay, but he said if I do it for a minute and a half, okay, I'm a man. I can handle anything for a minute and a half. I'm a man. Capital M, capital A, capital N. Hand in water. Okay, so eventually, because eventually he's undefeated, right? Eventually, I was able to keep my hand in the water for a minute and a half. And after a minute and a half, it didn't feel excruciating anymore. But before that, it felt like a toothache in my hand. How many of y'all know you ain't supposed to have a toothache in your hand? So, I mean, there's that level of pain. And then after a minute and a half, it's gone. I'm like, okay, if that worked in my hand, maybe it'll work with my whole body. And eventually I started doing cold plunges in my pool. And I was like, the longer I stay in here, the more I like it. And when I get out, the longer I stay in, the longer I feel better after I get out. And so I learned something that I didn't know after I thought I knew something based on my programming. And so now, watch what happens. Now I'm not just reprogramming the mind that's in my head, I'm reprogramming the mind that's in my body. Because my mind is in every cell of my body. I don't know if, hopefully this is tracking. So the first thing I got to do is I got to realize programming is a seed. The second thing I've got to do is I got to recognize all of my programming. Like, go home and take inventory of the things you believe about wealth and about money. Like, if you believe all rich people are evil, you're never going to be rich. That's a subconscious belief. It's a subconscious overarching belief. If you believe all rich people are evil and you want to be a good person, you'll never be rich. Why? Because we will never work to become something we despise.
That makes sense. And remember, you learned that from your community. So it's like a lot of times people find themselves in a different situation and they see you going after the gusto, so to speak. And let me tell you something about people. And when I say people, I don't mean everybody. They know who they are. If somebody sees you moving towards success somehow, they'll try to entice you not to do it. Oh, you can't do that. That requires too much a certain type of skill, or you're not big enough for that, or you're not whatever. But the thing is, people, not everybody, but a lot, don't want to see you go above the line that they create. So keep that in mind.
I'm going to work to become somebody that I don't even like me? I can't do that. And so what we got to learn how to do is we got to learn how to figure out where those beliefs came from. Okay? All right. So, number one, realize that your programming is a seed. Number two, recognize the programming and its source. Number three, remove the program that is no longer serving you. Remove the programming. So in other words, things that you used to, like I used to think that, you don't want to make too much money. You want to leave enough for everybody else. As if me not making more helps you make more. But by the way, there are people who believe that. It's insane. It's a level of insanity that can't be calculated on a calculator. It'd be like me holding my breath. I don't want to breathe too much air. There might not be enough left over for everybody else. It's insane. You would think I was insane if I were doing that. And so what happens is we have all of this internal resistance built up, and it's literally like an emergency brake in our mind, in our subconscious mind. And so we're putting all this effort into going forward, but we got our internal subconscious emergency brake on. It's got us on lockdown, and all we're doing is wearing out our brakes and wearing out our engine at the same time because we haven't addressed the subconscious programming and the emergency brake that's on in the background. How many of y'all tracking? Let me hear you say I'm tracking. Okay. So I've got to remove the programming, which means I've got to recognize where it came from. So here's what I had to do. I'll give you a couple of things. You got to go take inventory of your habits. One, I grew up in a family, and my family is great, but I grew up in a family that almost all of the humor was negative. Negative humor. Well, guess what? Negative humor does not help you create wealth. Because you think you're being funny, but the people that you think you're being funny with, you don't realize that you're so unconsciously offending them. And you're pushing them away from you. And while you're pushing them away from you, while you're attempting to have some level of influence, I just had to stop. No, I'm done with negative humor. Then, and it irritates people. I had to become hyper intentional with my words. I had to stop saying, well, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to do it. I'm doing it or I'm not doing it. People say, Myron, what are you trying to do? And I would say, I'm not trying to do anything. I'm either doing it or I'm not doing it. And then they think that I'm attempting to be somebody when I am just blocking their programming from re-entering my mind because it didn't serve me when it was there before, and I ain't accepting it. So I'm hyper intentional with my words. Myron, I know you're not going to like this, but, well, I don't know if I'm going to like it or not until you say it. Like, I'm not going to let somebody else pre-frame how I'm going to receive something. You know what I had to do? I had to stop watching the news, stop reading the newspaper, stop listening to the news on the radio, and just obliterate negativity from bombarding my consciousness. And I know some of you on YouTube, some of you in this room are thinking, but Myron, if I don't watch the news, how will I know what's going on in the world? That's a moderately legitimate question. Can I ask you a better question? Everybody say yes. If you can't fix what's going on in your world, how are you going to fix the problems going on in the world? How will I know what's going on in the world? What you going to do about it? You can't even, like you trying to figure out how to pay your electric bill and you need to know the problems in the world. Baby, quit tripping. And by the way, here's how you'll know what's going on in the world. You're surrounded by negative people who have an IV of news going into their life all day, every day. If something negative happens, I promise you somebody in your environment's going to tell you. You don't have to watch the news. So I have to remove all of the negative subconscious programming mechanisms that are already installed and all the ones that are trying to perpetually install themselves in my life. And I have to remove them from my environment. And so what happens when you become hyper-intentional about your words and you become hyper-intentional about what you allow, because that's what the Bible says, be hyper-intentional about what you let come into your heart. Isn't that what it says? Keep your heart or guard your heart with all diligence. Why? For out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a froward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyes look straight before thee. Ponder the paths of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established, and remove your foot from evil. That is 6 different things it told us to do when we're guarding our heart. It says we have to guard the sound gate. Don't listen to anything that could program us for something other than truth. We have to program our sight gate. Don't let anything in. A gate is a protective defensive mechanism. So I don't let anything in my sight gate that's going to corrupt the design that God has for my life. And then it says, ponder the paths of thy feet. I got to protect my schedule gate. So my sound gate, my sight gate, my schedule gate. Then it says, ponder the paths of thy feet, let all thy ways be established. Well, that's my standard gate. What's the standard? Like, I just don't, that's not something I do. I just don't do that. This is just what I do because this is who I am. That's my standard, the standard gate. And then it says, lastly, let all your ways be established. And then the last one is, it says, remove your foot from evil. You know what that's called? That's called the start over gate. That's the one we're talking about today, the start over gate. You've already let those other things in. Today is the day to start over, remove the past negative program, remove the past failure program, remove all of the programming that will not allow your financial proprioception to create wealth. Remove all of that junk from your life and take God's word for it that he knows what he's talking about. Okay. And then lastly, replace your failure programming with success programming. Replace your poverty programming. You've been programmed to be broke. Okay, you say, Myron, how do you know I've been programmed to be broke? Well, if you're broke, you've been programmed to be broke. Because there was never a day in your life, I don't care if you're 6, 16, or 65, there was never a day in your life where you decided, you know what, I'm going to do everything in my power to be broke for the rest of my life. Nobody ever decided that. So if you didn't decide that, why are you struggling financially? You're struggling financially because that's what the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism programmed you for, unbeknownst to you. So you consciously have to become aware that they've done that, and then you got to remove that programming. And then lastly, you have to replace the programming. And so what you do is you take this failure operating system that has been installed. Wow, that was a big erase. Sheesh. Let's make it a little smaller. Little smaller. There we go. Okay. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that and we're gonna replace it with a success operating system. Which means I'm going to reprogram my nervous system for wealth. So that, and by the way, here's part of reprogramming your nervous system. you have to get to the place when you're talking about money, you're not overprotective because you're worried about what you think people will think about you. It's so amazing. People cannot talk about making money without feeling like they have to justify why they want to make money. Yes. Yeah, well, I want to build a 6-figure business so that I can feed the hungry. I want to build a 9-figure business just because I want to build a 9-figure business. I don't need to justify it by feeding the hungry. There's nothing wrong with feeding the hungry. But that's not why I'm doing it. By the way, that's one of the things that keep you broke. You thinking, well, I want to do this so I can do X, Y, Z for other people. It's one of the reasons. I realized this a long time ago, and some people would disagree with me, but that's okay. I'll give them time to catch up. I realized that if our primary objective for making more money is for other people, we'll never be rich. You know why? Because in reality, not in how we want to be perceived socially, but in reality, we don't like other people that much. I said that too fast, didn't I? In reality, we don't like other people. Like, it's hard enough for me to have enough discipline to do the work that must be done to build a successful business, take care of me and my family. The level of intention and intentionality and discipline and grit that's required to overcome the inertia of poverty and replace it with the momentum of wealth, it requires so much energy in the beginning. I'm probably not going to do it for a bunch of people I don't know who are hungry. I'm just keeping it real. Neither are you. The difference is I'm willing to admit it. You don't understand. I give homeless people money, but I don't do it so I can justify to you how much money I make, because I don't really care what you think. I don't have time to care. Why? Because there are 16 families right now who can take care of themselves because I employ them. And like I've said before, I'll say it again, entrepreneurship does more to contribute to the world than charity. So I don't need to justify entrepreneurship by saying, oh, we're what do they call it? Socially conscious business. So every dollar that we make, we give away. No, every dollar I make, I'm getting, child, please. I read a book one time. I was so disappointed when I got to the end that I don't even remember the name of the book, so I can't recommend it to anybody. But I would really recommend people. There's this guy who talked about how he became a billionaire, and then at the end, he just gave it all away. Now, I can tell you right now, if I make $142 billion in my lifetime, I'm not giving it all away. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what the Bible says. I'm going to pass it down to my descendants. So none of my descendants ever have to start from scratch. I'm going to give all of my descendants the blessing that would have been good for me to have received if my parents had only known how to give it to me. I'm going to give them an inheritance. Well, Myron, an inheritance isn't just money. It could be a spiritual inheritance. Okay, I'm going to let you define it that way, but I'm going to define it the way the Scripture defines it. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So what's an inheritance? According to the same Bible, it says house and riches. So let me ask you a question. On YouTube, y'all can answer me, and in the room, y'all can answer me. Just type in me or say me if you would have liked this. How many of you would have loved for your parents to give you an inheritance of a house, mortgage-free, and riches? How many of y'all would have liked that? Say me. Me. Okay, since it didn't happen for you, let it happen from you. But man, the Bible says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon the earth where moth and rust is corrupted. And that's exactly what it says. Key word, for yourself. I'm not laying up treasures for myself upon the earth. I'm laying up treasures for my descendants, who the Scripture tells me if I don't take care of them, I've denied the faith and I'm worse than an infidel. The wealth that I'm building isn't for me. It's not for me to have more nice cars. I have plenty of nice cars, and I don't have a problem having nice cars. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it so anybody who comes from me forward will never have to start from scratch.
That's a very good point. This whole thing has been interesting. But you have to understand where he's coming from, because it makes spiritual sense. Not always logical sense. It makes spiritual sense.
Worst case scenario, they'll get a house and some riches. Okay. It's a new, different way of thinking. I've got to replace the poverty programming thinking that I've been programmed with. After I remove the poverty program, I got to replace it with prosperity programming. And by prosperity program, I don't mean name it and claim it, blab it and grab it. I don't mean selling blessings to people for money. If you sow a seed into my life, God's going to bless you. Maybe, I'm going to tell you right now, you sow a seed into my life, maybe God will bless you, maybe he won't. I don't know. Maybe he will. I don't know. But I don't need you to sow a seed into my life. You know why? Because God gave me a field. And he told me to sow seed in my field. And he told you to sow seed in your field. And when God told the children of Israel to give to the priests and the Levites, they were giving of the first fruits of the blessing that came from the seed they sowed in their field. Just want everybody to understand how this thing works biblically, the whole time. You understand? So when I replace my failure operating system with a success operating system, now when I read a success book, I no longer get an error message. I get a check mark. Check. Now I can run that. You've read so many books in the past that you can't even apply because your subconscious mind is working against every page in that book. You started a business and you can't figure out why you can't make a sale. You can't make a sale because you hate sales and you hate salespeople. And so you don't want to become something that you hate. So you're not going to ever be a good business owner because the foundational principle that you got to learn if you're going to be successful in business, you got to learn how to sell, whether you're raising capital, whether you're going out and getting clients, whatever you sell, you got to learn how to sell. And I've got a special gift for all of you watching right now. The 7 biggest mistakes people make when selling that keeps them from making sales. And if you want to get that, you can get it for free at sales. Just on YouTube, you can scan the QR code. If you want to type in the URL is salesmovesgift.com. salesmovesgift.com, or you can scan the QR code, go get the free gift, and then when my sales course launches in a couple of weeks, you'll get access to the launch. So, and by the way, I'm not creating a sales course just so I can make money. I'm creating a sales course because I'm tired of terrible salespeople giving me terrible sales presentations when I want to buy something. Talking me out of something I already wanted to buy. Okay. So, you reprogram your subconscious mind. Then, when you read the Boss Moves book, you can make the 4 moves that'll make you wealthy. When you read Trash Man to Cash Man, you can replace your poverty programming with wealth programming, and you can become financially free. And I am telling you, if you'll do these 4 things that I talked about in this video, recognize first and foremost that your programming is the seed. It's like where everything in your life is being produced from, whether intentionally or not. It's running in the subconscious. Realize that your programming is the seed.
Realizing that your programming is the seed. That's the first thing.
And then recognize your current programming and its source. There are people. Do you realize that your parents didn't program you to fail because they didn't like you? They programmed you to fail because they wanted to protect you, and so they taught you how to play not to lose. But they didn't realize that learning how to play not to lose is not the same as learning how to play to win.
That's a big plus right there. The most of us learned how not to lose, but never really how to win. And I can't speak for you, but to me that makes all the sense in the world.
They're different. Okay? So recognize your programming and its source. Remove your programming that isn't serving you. Take inventory of the thoughts that you think, the thoughts that pop up automatic. I don't justify my wealth at all to anybody. You know why? Yes, I'm wealthy. I'm rich, I'm wealthy, I'm prosperous. Somebody says, I don't like the word rich, I like the word wealthy. I like all of them. Abundant, rich, wealthy, I like all of them. Why? Because I don't need you to be okay with how I categorize my experience in life. Because I know where my programming came from. You know why? Because I programmed it. I recognized that my programming that I had was not getting me to the place I desired to be. I removed my programming, and then I replaced it with stuff that really, really works. And it works so well that working part-time and playing way too much, this programming on a subconscious level has produced revenue for our company, so I can keep paying all our employees, and I can keep living my life like it's golden. $6.5 million in the first 5 months of the year. I hope y'all don't feel like I'm fussing at you or like I'm condescending, because that's not my intent. My intent is to help you wake up from your slumber and recognize that your unconscious, subconscious, automatic mind is fighting against all the results that you say you want.
And there it is again. He summed it all up in a nutshell. As I said from the beginning, your subconscious mind stands in your own way, or not, depending on who you are.
And it's time you do something about it. Hashtag just saying. All right, well, I hope this video blesses you, and I hope you'll go apply it, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. In the meantime, in between time, stay blessed by the best. Peace out.
Thank you. That's Myron Golden on why your subconscious programming is standing in your way of wealth. We plan to get deep into the subconscious mind because that right there is the secret of life. There's different knowledge from it that they've hidden from us over the years to keep us at a certain place. God gave us that power, and when you can access that power, then your life can change drastically. But you see, there are greedy, elite people that want us to stay at a certain level so they can control us, and that we won't be able to have an abundant life. That's not the way it should be. But fortunately, we're living in the information era, so it's out there. And this channel is going to help you to get there. 'Cause that's what our content is all about. And spreading wisdom, making you a wise one, as I am. So we're going to end this right here. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe as well, because there's going to be a lot of nice things to come through this channel. And I'm going to give you a little piece of wisdom to take with you. Remember, a smart man makes a mistake, corrects that mistake, and learns to not make that mistake again. But a wise man, on the other hand, observes that smart man and doesn't make the mistake at all. That's why we pride ourselves as wise ones over here, or we aspire to be wise ones over here. So, hope you enjoyed that, and leave your comments in the comments section as to what you thought of the video, or what you think of, is the subconscious mind really our secret weapon? I'd like to hear what you think. So until the next video, this is Said the Wise One, signing off.